This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.
Please stop taking advice from people who are butthurt. A while ago, I did a video saying that you should not take advice from people who aren't living the life that you want to lead. And the comment section was full of people who did not like that advice, saying, well, sometimes you can learn from other people's mistakes. And yes, while that is true that you can and should learn from other people's mistakes, the problem with taking advice from people who are still hurt is that it comes tinged with bitterness. And oftentimes, even if the advice is partially true, if there's some semblance of truth to it, there's still a lot of nuance that this advice lacks. For example, I am a Black woman who is married to a man who is not Black. And I've heard plenty of advice saying, Black women should completely leave Black men, should divest, only focus on men who are other races. I've also heard plenty of advice that says that men of other races don't truly appreciate Black women, that they fetishize us, and that you should stay within your race and only love Black men. Both of these pieces of advice often come from women who've been hurt, who are bitter, and who have really given up on having a true love experience. Because the truth is, and I can tell you this from experience, is that trash comes in all races. And also good men come in all races. So I completely believe that women should expand their options. Dating is a numbers game. And I think you should be open to whoever loves you, no matter what color they are. At the same time, this idea that you should only date one race or that you should avoid one race completely is ridiculous. And again, tinged with bitterness. This whole thing about money as another example, that you should only date men who are wealthy because they will take care of you, or the women who will say that money isn't everything and that, taking a chance on someone who doesn't have a lot of money, he'll appreciate you more and treat you better than these rich men who are powerful and will use their money to control you. Again, trash and good men come in all income levels. The truth is that no one should get married unless they are financially stable, because not being financially stable puts you in a prime position to be abused, male or female. And also, it is important that you have your own so that you have options. At the same time, yes, people who have money can use their money to control you and abuse you. But people who don't have money also financially abuse others too. They take advantage of those people and use those people. So it comes down to having discernment, not automatically writing off people based on whether or not someone who, again, is bitter or butthurt thinks that that person is going to treat you unfairly. We have to look at advice and consider the source. Before I became a dating coach, I was a journalist, and sourcing things was very important. It is no different in the real world. You have to really look at who's telling you the things that they are telling you. What experience do they have? Where does this come from? Does this come from a place of hurt? Because again, people who are healed understand that in all advice, there is nuance. They understand that sometimes the advice that they give may not apply to your particular situation, and they're careful about that in dispensing advice. And people who receive advice, as a coach, I'm married. I get advice from people who've been married longer than I have. As a business owner, I get business advice. And whenever I'm listening to other people's advice and counseling, I consider, where did it come from? What privileges do they have when they took that advice that I may not have? Is there any tinge of bitterness, hurt in what they're saying? Does it seem like when they gave this advice, they had some sort of personal experience that they haven't healed from yet? What did they learn? Is this something that they just read in a book and now it sounds good, so they're telling it to me? Or is this something that they learned from personal experience? How did they get to those conclusions? But at the end of the day, We need to learn how to take advice from people who are healed, not people who are butthurt. Hey there. So you made it all the way to the end of the episode, which means I have two things to say. One, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And two, you like me. You really like me. So I would appreciate it if you would show that like by subscribing to this podcast so that more people can hear about it and enjoy it as much as you do. And if you want to know more about any of the links that I mentioned on this episode or any guests that I've had, be sure to go to KeshiaRice.com/links. That's KeshiaRice.com/links. I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode. So see you then.